I never thought I'd live long enough to watch my own daughter-in-law throw my belongings into the yard. Like I was nothing more than a stray animal she found on her porch. But life has a way of peeling back people's true colors, especially when they think the person they're hurting is too old, too quiet, or too weak to fight back. That morning, I stood at the kitchen window with a cup of lukewarm tea trembling between my fingers. And there she was, my son's wife, dragging my old wooden memory chest across the porch. No care, no hesitation, just letting it slam down into the dirt like it had no history at all. She tossed my photographs, my wedding shawl, my husband's watch, pieces of my heart, scattered like trash. When I stepped outside, she didn't even pretend to be sorry. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "It's trash. All of it." In that moment, something inside me didn't just snap. It settled. Calm, cold, clear. If she thought I was weak, if she thought I was disposable, she was about to learn exactly how wrong she was. Because I wasn't just her husband's aging mother. I was the woman who built this home with my own hands. The woman who survived death, war, loss, and people far crueler than she could ever imagine. And there was something she didn't know. Something I had been saving for the exact right moment. This was that moment. I should start from the beginning so you understand why this day cut as deep as it did, and why what happened next changed everything. My name is Margaret. I'm 76. My hands shake sometimes, not from fear, but from memories that live in my bones. After my husband passed, my son Michael insisted I move in with him and his wife Jenna. First I refused. 40 years in one house builds roots. But the stairs grew heavier, the winters colder, and the silence unbearable. So I agreed. For a while things were fine. Not warm, Jenna was never warm, but manageable. She didn't like my keepsakes. My old memory chest. My handmade blankets. My husband's books. She said they made the house feel old. That they were clutter. I stayed quiet. Tried to be polite. Made myself small the way women of my generation were raised. But no amount of shrinking makes a cruel heart kind. The real trouble began when Michael got promoted. More money. More hours. More stress. And a stressed husband makes a bitter wife even more bitter. Jenna started controlling everything. Every room. Every schedule. Every word. And everything she wanted to manage belonged to me. First, the small comments. Maybe your things should go in storage. You don't need all this old stuff, right? Harmless if you don't know better. But I did. One night, walking down the hallway, slow, careful, I heard her whispering on the phone. She's useless. Once we put her in a nursing home. The whole downstairs is ours for the renovation. A nursing home. Not for care. Not for safety. But because she wanted space. Suddenly everything clicked. She didn't just dislike me. She wanted me gone. But I stayed silent. Because she didn't know the truth. She didn't own the house. Michael didn't own the house either. Legally. I did. And that wasn't even the biggest secret. The final straw came on a Tuesday. Jenna forgot to pick me up from a doctor's appointment and left me stranded for 3 hours. By the time I got home, my legs were aching. But the pain that hit me next wasn't physical. My belongings were everywhere. Books in the grass. Blankets on the hedges. My wedding album lying in the dirt. And my wooden chest. Split open like a crime scene. Jenna stood beside it, tossing my memories into a trash bag. "Oh, you're back," she said. "Good. I'm cleaning. This stuff is trash." I whispered. "You can't throw these away." She smirked. "They're junk. And you're too old to need them anyway." Too old. As if age erased value. As if years of living meant nothing. And right then, something inside me changed forever. I didn't argue. Didn't yell. Didn't shed one tear. I walked back inside. Picked up the phone. And called someone Jenna didn't even know existed. My lawyer. For years, he'd helped me maintain something important. A trust, a deed, financial documents. Everything that made me the sole owner of the house. But that wasn't all. A year before moving in, I quietly sold a large piece of land my husband left behind. Never mentioned it. Never bragged. Never needed to. So while Jenna was calling me useless, throwing away my belongings, thinking she was winning, I had more money in my trust than she would ever see in her lifetime. And she had no clue. My lawyer arrived within the hour. Jenna didn't even look up from her phone until she heard his briefcase click open. "Who is that?" she snapped. I sat down, folded my hands and said, "That's the man who will explain everything." He presented the deed, the trust, the ownership papers, the clause I added months earlier. Anyone who mistreated me could be legally removed from the property. He read it aloud. Jenna turned white, then red, then white again, because she realized the house she thought she controlled was mine. The kitchen renovation she dreamed about, gone. The plan to send me away, dead. And the best part? My lawyer said the words I'd been waiting to hear. "Mrs. Margaret has the legal right to ask you to vacate the property immediately." Immediately. Her jaw dropped. Michael froze. But I didn't. Calm as ever, I said, "You threw my memories away like trash. Now it's time to take out the real trash." Jenna screamed, cried, begged, blamed me. But the law was iron. Within 48 hours, she was out of my house. She tried to take Michael with her. But once he saw the photos of my belongings in the dirt, once he realized how I'd been treated, he stayed. He apologized. He cried. I forgave him. I didn't forget. And I never let Jenna step foot on that property again. A month later, I did something unexpected. I rewrote my trust. Guess who wasn't in it? The woman who called my memories trash. The woman who tried to throw me away. The woman who thought she'd inherit everything once I died. Instead, I donated a large portion to a senior women's shelter. Women who escaped abuse with nowhere to go. The rest? I left it to Michael's future children. Not to Jenna. Never again. I don't tell this story for revenge. I tell it as a reminder. People think age makes you weak. They think a quiet voice means a quiet heart. They think gray hair means you've lost your fire. But they forget. Women like me have survived storms they couldn't face for a single day. We've buried loved ones, built homes out of nothing, and carried families on our backs. We endured. We learned. We rose. And we know exactly when to stand up. So if you've ever been made to feel small, ever been disrespected, ever been treated like you don't matter, remember this. Sometimes the softest voice in the room belongs to the strongest soul in the house. And when it's time to show who truly holds the power, show them.